Hey, Shalom Akim. First and foremost, give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bashim Yahushai, Bashim Rachak Kodesh, the honors under the elders of False Great Millstone, the elders Great Millstone, and of course, peace and blessings under the hopeful elect, the sincere servants of Yahweh, Bashim Yahushai, serving him with truth and sincerity. Yes, I'm Brother Chayabah from G-Man's Playing Tables Camp. Come back with another lesson to his spirit. This lesson be based off of this article from nationalnews.com, which is entitled, it says, Trump's 5,000 troop surge to Poland sparks Russian warning of military technical response. Once again, this isn't stopping. And, again, as more articles continue to come out about this, we're going to go into it. Why? Because the scriptures go into, of course, the scriptures go into it. Of course, about, the scriptures go into wars, rumors of wars. So, obviously, without a doubt, we're going to bring it out. As well, the disciples asked Yahushua what the end days would look like. Yahushua gave them the times and the signs that would signify the end times, which one of them is wars and rumors of wars. So, when you see articles, again, coming out every single minute at this point about war, about conflicts around the world, involving, again, just war. Again, it's not a coincidence. It says the United States is once again deepening its military footprint on Russia's doorstep, this time with the promise from President Donald Trump to send 5,000 additional troops to Poland, a move that Russian officials have explicitly labeled unacceptable, and one that threatens to push Europe closer to a suicidal conflict. The announcement, delivered via Truth Social on Thursday, caught Pentagon officials off guard and contradicted the Defense Department's own decision just a week earlier to cancel a troop rotation to Poland. This question is whether this escalation serves genuine deterrence or risk provoking the very confrontation it claims to prevent. So, once again, man, this isn't stopping, and this is according to prophecy. We can get Jeremiah chapter 50, how it goes into how the North Country representing Russia, let's go ahead and get it. Jeremiah chapter 59, it says, For lo, I'll raise and cause to come up against Babylon an assembly of great nations from the North Country. So, once again, that North Country is Russia, and the assembly of great nations is a Russian Federation. Jeremiah 50, or continuing on, it says, And they shall set themselves in array against her. From thence she should be taken. The arrow should be as of a mighty expert man. None shall return in vain. Exactly. So, it's prophecy that which Babylon, of course, is America. This isn't speaking about ancient Babylon, the Neo-Babylonian Empire. No, this is speaking about the modern day Babylon. Because, this Babylon right here in Jeremiah chapter 50 isn't speaking about, again, ancient Babylon. Because these things haven't happened in ancient Babylon. No, this really speaking about what the future Babylon, which is America, which we are in it currently. So it says, And they shall set themselves in array against her. From thence she should be taken. The arrow should be as of a mighty expert man. None shall return in vain. Exactly. So arrows being symbolic unto the nuclear missiles. So it's prophesied is that there will be a war between Babylon and Russia. Scripture also go into the Medes, Isaiah chapter 13, which also goes into the Russians against, and then what goes into Babylon, how Babylon will be destroyed. So the prophecy is that Babylon will lose and be destroyed. And ultimately these other nations will make an alliance with one another to take down Babylon the Great, again, which is America. So, we see all these countries forming alliances with one another to take it down. So going back. Key point, Trump announced 5,000 additional U.S. troops for Poland, reversing a Pentagon cancellation. Russian Foreign Ministry called the move unacceptable and threatened military technical countermeasures. See? So it says around 10,000 U.S. troops are already stationed in Poland, with 80,000 across Europe. So it says Poland has a right and a duty to defend its borders, but risk provocation with Russia with military alliances aimed at Russia's border. So it says Russian officials accuse NATO of preparing a large-scale conflict in the East. So it says the deployment follows a series of confusing Pentagon reversals and White House social media posts. So, hey man, this place isn't looking good, man. And ultimately, it's going to continue to get worse. It said, well, Russia called the move unacceptable and threatened military countermeasures. So, once again, this isn't going to slow down. It's going to keep on speeding up. It says, 2 Ezra chapter 16 and 17, woe is me, who would deliver me in those days? So this Ezra is being given a vision and him seeing the future, which we're in the future. And very, very soon, this will happen, what Ezra is seeing. It says, the beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars, and the power shall stand in fear, the beginning of evils. What shall I do when these evils shall come? I mean, technically, really, these things are happening as we speak. But again, it's going to continue to go worse. We're in the beginning of sorrows. But again, things will continue to get worse exponentially. It says, verse 19, behold, famine and plague and tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment. Exactly. So, key point is that I mentioned the beginning of wars. And then power shall stand in fear. Looking that up, it says the onset of armed conflict marked by widespread alarm among authorities, rulers, or governing powers. So, exactly, because very, very soon, people know at this point that World War III is about to pop off, the nuclear war. Let's get real quick. Mark chapter 13. And 3, it says, and as he saw upon Mount Olives over against the temple, Peter and James and John and Andrew asked him privately, tell us, when shall these things be, and what shall be the sign of when all these things shall be fulfilled? And Yahushua answering them began to say, take heed lest any man deceive you. For many shall come on my name, saying, I am Mashiach, and shall deceive many. Yeah, of course, false prophets. Verse 7, and when she hear of wars and rumors of wars, be ye not troubled, for such things must needs be, but the end shall not be yet. So ultimately, this shouldn't startle us. That once again, we know that War 3 is right around the corner, but we shouldn't be startled at it as if it's going to happen, in the next 12 hours. No. Ultimately, there's, we have to consider the chain of prophecy, which the one thing that we're waiting for before World War III, which prophesied happened before World War III, is, of course, the implementation of the mark of the beast spoken about in Revelation chapter 13 and 16. So until it's mandated, World War III, the nuclear war, the climax of World War III won't happen. But again, we understand how the implementation of the mark of the beast is very, very soon as we speak. Again, as the elder Apostle Hart said, we're months away. Could be 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, 24 months. The point is that we're months away, and it's very, very close. So it says, Mark chapter 13 and 8, for nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be earthquakes in diverse places, and there shall be famines and troubles. These are the beginnings of sorrows. So exactly. So what? There's going to be civil war, nation against nation, kingdom against kingdom. Of course, internal war, infighting. Isaiah chapter 19 goes into how there's going to be Egyptian against Egyptian. We know the modern day Egypt is, of course, America. So you're going to have American against American. And we can clearly see that happening right now as we speak. So how much more as things continue to get worse? Especially when everything shuts down, it's mass anarchy. It will food, again, famines is at its max, pestilence is at its max, it's all chaos is at its max. Guess what? Then of course we're really going to see, but we understand how Yahweh Bashim Yashai will protect his servants. We don't speak these things to our destruction as if we're going to be caught up. And again, the judgments of this place and the judgment of Babylon the Great, which the ultimate judgment is the nuclear war. No, ultimately, we prophesy this, understanding that Yahweh Bashim Yashai will have mercy upon his elect. And ultimately, we're just doing what we're commanded to do as messengers. Just like how Noah, was prophesying how there would be a flood, but the people didn't listen. They didn't want to get on the boat. Hey, we're doing the same thing. We're prophesying the downfall of this place, the destruction of Babylon the Great, which is America. And again, ultimately our expectation, and as the scriptures go into, is that we're going to be delivered by the chariots. Wisdom of Solomon chapter 5. What the scriptures go into, how, again, we're going to be delivered. Book of Revelation goes into how, what says, come up hither, so that we don't take part of the plagues of this place. Many other scriptures, how it goes into what the deliverance of Zion, so on and so forth. Again, we understand, even 2 Ezra chapter 16, the scriptures say how the Lord will deliver us from the days of trouble. So, of course, even within these times, Jacob's trouble, the Lord's going to, make room for us. And we'll, of course, have a spiritual hedge and protection around us. So, ultimately, that's what we're waiting for. And then, well, of course, Yahushua coming back to deliver us from that nuclear destruction, lest we perish. Of course, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus. So what his true name, of course, is Yahushua. Yahushua will come back with his angels, once again, to deliver the elect of the nation of Israel. So that's what we're waiting for. So obviously the message is to repent for, of course, Israel, Israelites to repent, to come back onto Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, so that, again, they're not caught up in the judgments of this place. Again, we're doing as we're commanded, prophesy this message. And obviously we'll do the will of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai and to serve him. Keep his commandments. To do what he said to do. Of course, doing his will. So Lord, all you brothers out there edified. Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, Bashim Kakorash Bakatom. Shalom.